Hello, my recurring fans, Sigmar addicts, and shockingly opinionated Redditors. My name is Rich, the channel is called New Memphis, and no matter what it is that brought you here, I want you to know that I am so glad that you could be here today. This week our 3 Annihilators are getting painted up, and boy are they thick. Only about half as thick as that wash though. Just one quick reminder to subscribe, friends, and maybe consider sending this video to someone you know who loves art or Warhammer or, I don't know, quirky light-skinned dudes. I'd really like to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of August, and if you guys help me do that, I would be eternally grateful. Seriously, you guys, I would lose my mind. But back to the painting. I normally start with a little more conjecture on the projects we've done so far and which ones I think have done better and what things have done worse in this project. There's no conjecture this week. This project is so much better than any of the Stormcast we painted so far. It's actually kind of ludicrous. Like, don't get me wrong, they're all good in certain ways. I love the eyes on our Mage of Sigmar, and that brass is really unique, but like these, it's just... And what's hilarious about how good they look is that it was like 10 steps and like 9 colors, something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous. How many did it turn out to be? This many? It's ridiculous, right? Like, how short is this painting list for how absolutely bonkers these models look? Like, that actually kind of makes me angry at this point. I'm right there with you. It's frustrating. But so often that ends up being the case on a project. We've used this blue wash already on every single model from the Dominion box, including the Cruel Boys, where it looks very, very different with how many greens and yellows that we used. But there's something about that dark vermilion pairing that just... I don't want to get too much into it. I'm going to be doing a talking video here soon. I know that in my comment section, I've been getting a lot of questions about whether or not these models were washed in blue or if they were a blue primer. So I want to do a sort of compare contrast video here soon where I talk about the Fallout minis, which are primed in blue, versus these minis where I used a blue wash and different colored primer, and what I think, how I think that changed the model overall, along with just talking about how important it is to have short lists, and just talking about minis. That's what we do here on this channel, along with other stuff, and it's fun. Have a good time. And one last thing, I am also going to be skipping over talking about the bases. I know people really like it and are very, very excited to know how to make the swampy beach theme, but unfortunately, I've already covered it like 8 times, and I'm not going to lie, I'm just sick of it. It's exactly 3 colors. They're still on the painting list, and you can watch my old videos about the Dominion box. I've seriously covered it like 8 times, and I'm tired of doing it. You can look at those if you want to know, or I'll probably go over it again at some point in a future video. As for the beer this week, I have a little bit of lemonade down here in the bottom, which is why I definitely spilled all over the floor. However, we're going through like some kind of a record heat wave here in Illinois and the Midwest overall, so I'm cutting my 312 with a little bit of lemonade. It even smells amazing. Let's get started. I had some big plans for these Annihilators, very big plans. However, that's going to be pretty much just the paint job. We aren't going to put down any extra bits on the bases this week. These guys already fill up their bases just fine, and in fact have a kind of V shape that I think is really, really cool, and I want to maintain that. So I'm just going to leave them as is. And we'll skip right ahead to dabbing on some Royal and Langnickel paint to create our texture. I haven't tried this technique with other brands of paint or even other colors of Royal and Langnickel, but I'm sure that you can find a dollar store hobby paint that will work just fine. Just be aware that it will take all day to dry. You're not going to be doing anything else on these models anytime soon. Here they are after being primed in gray. Just some cheap gray paint from the hardware store. And we'll move straight from that onto a layer of dark vermilion all across the model. Looking back, I really wish I would have cut this with a little bit of matte medium or maybe a little bit more water. I was being pretty sloppy with it, Normally I would just prime them in red like the orange Stormcast we painted, but I was short on time and we ran out of the rusty red primer. But oh well, things happen, so this is a good compromise, and I think it contributed to why these turned out so bright. Boy, yeah, that paint job was spotty. I could have done a better job preventing bubbles especially, but the details are still very clear, so let's put on our wash of royal blue. I'm mixing this thicker than usual to really contrast that red, and because this red is a lot brighter than the normal rusty red that we've used in the past. If you want to have something a little thinner and a little more subtle, you can feel free to use less paint and more matte medium if you want that blue to be toned way down. And once that's done, we'll go straight into highlighting the armor, once again with dark vermilion. God, I can't even explain how good this turned out, even just at this step. But we still have a ways to go. I know I'm also skipping the bases, but these colors worked surprisingly well alongside the emerald on that swampy base theme. Very nice! I did leave the lion bare because I have plans for him. But let's move on to black-red to highlight these iron kilts that they're wearing. Then London Grey for the weapons. I really should have painted these before the wash, but unfortunately, again, I was in a rush. It will be what it will be. We'll do better next time. Then we can see where this really started to take off. Cork brown is what we'll use for the highlights on the armor. And I was just going to highlight the lion with flat flesh, but it looked so good that I decided to highlight all of the armor with it. And I was not at all disappointed. Next up, we need clear orange for the central shield, plus a bit on the rim. This is why I wanted to use a light brown for the armor, so that this could really stand out and look fiery. And then further highlights of deep yellow on the shield will actually be the final step, if you can believe it. I just can't believe the project was this short. I mean, yeah, the basing was removed, but I mean, that was like a dozen steps. That's crazy. I'm shocked. But again, you know, that's how it works sometimes. You know, in my experience, great art tends to sit at that crossroads between intense training and the laissez-faire attitude of an artist who just does it every day. It's crazy. But then again, I'm also being a little narcissistic calling myself a great artist. But this project, it was so good. I am so incredibly happy with it. Thank you so much, guys, for being here on this journey with me. Remember to hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. And I will see you in the next one.